She stayed silent for years, but now Anne McClain is finally speaking up. The beloved star from House of Payne and Disney's Descendants just dropped a truth bomb that has everyone in the industry talking. And it's all centered around none other than Tyler Perry. From claims of mistreatment on set to being quietly silenced behind the scenes, what Chyna has now revealed shifts everything we once believed about one of Hollywood's most influential creators. This isn't your typical celebrity confession. It's a wake-up call. For years, Anne McClain was seen as Hollywood's golden child, talented, graceful, and always cheerful in front of the lens. From her early start on Tyler Perry's House of Payne to the breakout fame she earned through Disney's Ant Farm and Descendants, fans watched a rising young star who seemed to flourish in the limelight. But behind the flawless performances and red carpet appearances, a much different story was taking shape. And now, Chyna is finally ready to reveal it. In a raw and emotional disclosure, she has pulled back the curtain on her experience working under Tyler Perry, the celebrated filmmaker and media titan widely credited with offering Black actors and creatives major career opportunities. But according to Chyna, things behind the scenes weren't nearly as inspiring as the public believed. You're about to learn the real reason she walked away, what she endured off camera, and why she now feels it's essential that the world understand how young actors, especially Black women, are really treated in the industry. From overly controlled environments to suppressed creativity and unseen power imbalances. Her story is one many never expected to hear.
Chyna Anne is done staying quiet. And what's even more shocking, she says this isn't just about her, it's about a much broader issue that's been ignored for far too long. So buckle in, because in this video we're pulling back the layers. From her hidden struggles during the filming of House of Payne to cryptic interviews and online posts that hinted at a deeper pain, this is the moment. Chyna finally said enough, and what she shared about Tyler Perry? It took fans completely off guard. You won't believe what she claims he said in private meetings and who might be quietly standing with her behind the scenes. This isn't just a scandal. It's a moment of reckoning, long before any controversy or whispers of behind-the-scenes drama. Chyna Anne McClain represented the very best of youthful talent in Black Hollywood. Born into a musically gifted household, her father a music producer, her mother a songwriter, Chyna had creative energy running through her from the very beginning. At just 7 years old, she landed her first role in the gospel. It didn't take long before Tyler Perry took notice. In 2007, she was cast as Jasmine Payne in House of Payne, one of Perry's signature sitcoms that helped bring Black family life into mainstream television. It looked like a dream come true, a young Black actress working under one of the most influential Black directors in the world. Audiences everywhere fell in love with Jasmine's quick wit and flawless comedic timing. Chyna became a fan favorite, and from the outside it seemed like she was living the dream every young actor hopes for. But behind that radiant smile and captivating on-screen presence, there were truths the cameras never caught. Over the years, in several interviews, Chyna subtly hinted at the pressures she faced during her early acting career. She vaguely referenced long working hours, heavy-handed creative control, and moments where her voice didn't seem to matter. One of the most revealing moments came during a podcast appearance in 2022, where she shared, "There were times when I felt like a product, not a person, especially when I was younger." Though she didn't point fingers or mention anyone directly at the time, fans have since gone back to those interviews, listening again with a whole new perspective, especially in light of her recent statements involving Tyler Perry. Anonymous insiders who worked on the House of Payne set have now come forward backing up her claims. They describe an atmosphere that wasn't always nurturing. Many characterized it as a do-as-you're-told kind of culture, where even the youngest cast members had almost no control over their character's direction, their work hours, or when it was appropriate to speak up. For a child star like Chyna, this wasn't just draining, it was emotionally suffocating. Yet, despite her internal struggles, Chyna continued to show up. She kept smiling for the press. She stayed quiet and tried to convince herself that maybe this was just how things worked in Hollywood, especially if you were fortunate enough to land a spot in a Tyler Perry production. But as she matured and gained more insight, her perspective began to change. She started noticing the imbalance of power more sharply. She began asking questions, and according to people close to her, that's when the real friction began. Because here's where things take a turn. the moment she started asserting creative boundaries, particularly around her faith, character values, and personal image. Sources say that Tyler Perry's team didn't respond kindly. Coming up next, why China says she felt manipulated and silenced, and how it all came to a head after one explosive behind-the-scenes confrontation. For years, China Anne McClain played the role of the perfect professional, always gracious, always cheerful, never making waves. But under that polished exterior, resentment was slowly building. And eventually, it hit a breaking point. Insiders close to China reveal that by the time she returned for the House of Payne reboot in 2020, something within her had fundamentally shifted. She had matured spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. No longer the innocent child star who followed directions without question, China came back with a newfound purpose. She now had clear boundaries, strong values, and a vision for her career that went far beyond scripted sitcoms and laugh tracks. But when she finally tried to speak her mind, reportedly, it didn't sit right with certain members of the production. According to insiders who were present on set, China began questioning specific scenes, particularly ones she felt clashed with her personal faith, including episodes that touched on adult humor or themes she didn't want her character associated with. She wasn't asking for full creative control, she wasn't being overdramatic, but she was standing her ground. And that, insiders say, is when things started to change behind the scenes. Several sources shared that when China voiced her concerns, she was often brushed off, dismissed, or simply told to trust the process. At first, she attempted to handle it diplomatically, but as time passed, her frustration with being ignored only grew. Allegedly, she requested a private meeting with Tyler Perry himself, hoping to have a heart-to-heart about her character's arc and express the spiritual discomfort she'd been quietly carrying. And according to those familiar with what unfolded in that meeting, it was a turning point. China walked out of the conversation in tears. While the exact details of what was said haven't been made public, a close friend of the actress revealed she went in hoping to be heard. She came out knowing she never would be. That moment, they say, was when she made her decision. She began to emotionally and professionally pull back. On social media, fans started to notice subtle signs, cryptic captions, mentions of spiritual warfare, and growing references to feeling stuck in places that didn't reflect her values. During one Instagram Live, China said, "The enemy isn't always obvious. Sometimes he comes disguised as opportunity, as success, as someone you used to trust." At the time, fans believed she was speaking broadly about the industry. But looking back now, those words feel more like a direct message to someone in particular, possibly someone like Tyler Perry. Behind the scenes, she slowly began stepping away from the show. She declined other offers that were tied to the Tyler Perry brand. She became far more selective about the roles she accepted, and those who worked with her noticed a shift in her energy on set. Castmates described her as more reserved, withdrawn, no longer the lively, smiling teen they remembered from earlier seasons. Then came the final decision. She walked away. Despite being one of the most beloved and recognizable stars of the House of Payne franchise, China Anne McClain quietly exited the series. She chose instead to pursue faith-based projects, content creation, and independent work that gave her complete creative freedom. She never staged a dramatic exit or released a tell-all book, but her silence spoke louder than any official statement ever could. Those who had worked closely with her say there was one reason behind her quiet departure. She wasn't willing to trade her peace and principles for a paycheck. But here's where things took a more intense turn. Behind the scenes, whispers began to swirl that China wasn't just stepping away, she was getting ready to speak out. And what she was preparing to say had the potential to shake Tyler Perry's entire image to its core. Coming up, China Anne McClain's emotional online confession and how Tyler Perry's camp allegedly responded when the truth finally came out. When China Anne McClain finally chose to break her silence, she didn't go through traditional media. There was no lawyer-drafted statement, no exclusive interview with a magazine. She didn't name anyone directly. Instead, she did what many in this generation of truth-tellers have chosen. She went live in a raw, unfiltered Instagram Live, one that's since been recorded and reshared across countless social media platforms. China stared into the camera with teary eyes and a steady, resolute tone. What began as a casual chat with fans quickly turned into something much more personal and revealing. "I've been quiet for a long time. I'm not gonna stay silent anymore. I have to speak. My truth. That opening line alone sent her audience into a frenzy. The comments section instantly filled with messages of love, concern, and speculation. What was she about to reveal? Who was she referring to? Then came the first revelation. There are people in this industry, people you admire, people you believe are doing God's work who are really just using their power to manipulate and control. I've been on those sets, I've seen it, I've lived through it, and no one talks about it because they're scared. She didn't say Tyler Perry's name aloud, but the implications were impossible to miss. The timeline, the subtle nods to her House of Payne days, her references to faith, it all painted a very clear picture. Then things became more direct. There were times I wanted to walk off set. Times when I said, this doesn't sit right with me, and I was told to do it anyway. And the people who pushed for that? They weren't strangers. They were people I had looked up to. She went on to recall a specific moment reportedly during the filming of A House of Payne episode where she attempted to object to a scene she found morally and spiritually troubling. But according to her, she was pressured into doing it. Regardless, she was told that saying no would mess up production and that she should feel lucky to even be there. They'll tell you they're giving you a platform, she said, but what they really want is control. They want obedience. And if you speak up, you're labeled as difficult, ungrateful, or too emotional. Her live stream continued for nearly 30 minutes. And while China never once resorted to accusations or overt disrespect, the weight of her words was undeniable. Tyler Perry is, in fact, mentioned by name in several pivotal chapters. Someone close to the project explained, "This isn't a revenge book, it's a spiritual testimony. It's about telling the truth." According to them, China isn't. Writing to her anyone, she's writing to free herself and hopefully help others find that same freedom. Her faith, it seems, has been her grounding force through all of it. In recent years, China has become increasingly outspoken about her Christian beliefs, using her platform to share scripture, spark discussions on spiritual growth, and speak openly about the emotional cost of compromising personal values for fame. What sets her apart isn't just her talent, it's her refusal to water down her convictions for the sake of public approval. In one particularly powerful post, she wrote, "I'd rather be canceled by the world than silenced by my own spirit. God gave me this voice and I won't waste it anymore." She's since launched a YouTube series focused on truth, vulnerability, and honest conversations about the industry. She's already begun mentoring younger artists coming up after her, warning them about the same trap she once stepped into with a hopeful heart and innocent trust. And even with all the backlash she's endured, China says she wouldn't change a thing. If just one girl feels less alone, if even one person finds the courage to stand up for themselves because they saw me do it, then every bit of it was worth it. As for Tyler Perry, he's remained publicly silent. No statements, no denials, no acknowledgement, and perhaps that silence speaks louder than any official response ever could. The world is watching now, not simply because a beloved young actress decided to speak out, but because she dared to confront the very system that built her career. And by doing that, she's pushed fans, networks, and fellow creatives to stop and ask, what are we really endorsing when we ignore the cost of someone else's silence? And so, here we are. One of this generation's most powerful young voices has stepped into the light, and she's not backing down. China Anne McClain's story is more than a headline. It's a movement. A reminder that in an industry obsessed with lights, cameras, and applause, behind every beaming smile is a real human soul. If this story moved you, challenged you, or even just made you think, this is your moment to speak up too. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe China's story? And what do you think this means for Tyler Perry's legacy going forward? Smash that like button. Subscribe for more stories that dig deep and speak truth. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss the next big revelation from the world of entertainment. This is World of Stars, where we uncover the truth they don't want you to know.